Okay, welcome back to the deep dive. We have a fantastic stack of sources today,
hmm
all centered around this core idea, making learning truly work for you. Because
Yeah.
well, it's not just about grinding away, is it?
No, absolutely not. It's fundamentally about how you approach it and maybe surprisingly even where you do it.
That's right. We've pulled together articles, research papers, all sorts of stuff, covering everything from the actual physical spaces where we learn,
hmm
right down to the habits and, the mindsets inside our own heads.
Exactly. And our mission here really is to pull out the most important insights from all this material.
Think of it as your shortcut, right?
Right.
A way to get really well informed on how to create and maximize your learning experiences.
Yeah. And honestly, some of the stuff in here was pretty eye-opening.
For me, too. Like what students say helps them study versus what the science actually shows is effective. That was a big one.
Or how the literal design of a building, the bricks and mortar, can actually play a huge role in whether you learn well or just end up fighting your environment.
Okay, so let's dive in. One of the sources kicks off with this, really foundational question. What makes a place to learn a good one? Why start there?
Well, it's a question people have been wrestling with for, well, centuries.
Hmm.
Thinkers like Confucius, Plato,
Or so.
John Dewey. Exactly. They were all thinking about the ideal conditions for learning and growth.
But today, it's not just philosophy, right? Science demands.
Yeah.
Well, evidence.
Empirical evidence, yeah.
Hmm.
Real data from studies. We need to see what the research actually shows us.
Okay.
And when you look at the research, the language can get a bit messy sometimes.
How so?
You see terms like conditions of learning, learning environment, school climate, classroom culture.
Uh,
They kind of overlap. It can be a little confusing.
Yeah.
But the trend in recent studies is to view learning environments more broadly, more holistically.
which makes sense. Learning isn't just one thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That UNESCO report we looked at really emphasizes this. It says learning environments are multifaceted.
Multifaceted.
Yeah. Meaning they have lots of different sides. They include the physical space, the social and emotional atmosphere, that's the psychosocial bit, and also how the place is actually run, the organizational factors.
Okay, so physical, psychosocial, organizational. Got it.
Yeah, you can't really look at just one piece. They all interact.
So let's start with the most concrete part then. The physical stuff, the
Wow.
buildings, the rooms.
Good place to start. And the sources definitely show how these architectural features can have a real measurable impact.
Yeah, like how?
Well, researchers like Rudolf Moos, his model for understanding classroom environments, it explicitly includes physical conditions as a key part of the overall climate.
Okay, so it's baked right into the models. Give us some examples from the sources.
Okay, well, there's that study in Northwest Spain, early childhood education.
Hmm.
It found that just having access to quiet spaces was like crucial. It really affected the kids' mood and their ability to concentrate.
I can imagine. Constant noise would be tough.
Definitely. And then on the other extreme, you have these stark descriptions from some sources about schools in poorer countries.
Yeah, that was quite striking.
The lack of basic things we take for granted, clean water, separate toilets for girls, these are cited as actual main reasons why students, especially girls, drop out.
Wow. It's hard to even think about learning when basic needs aren't met or you feel unsafe.
Exactly. It makes you think about what the architecture itself communicates.
Right. The sources contrasted that standard cells and bells structure
Yeah, the rigid, boxy building.
with designs that are built for flexibility, connection, maybe more natural conditions.
Yeah. And you mentioned Hassan Fathi, the Egyptian architect, his book, Architecture for the Poor.
Oh, I loved that part. His idea that school should be a source of love and encouragement.
Yes. Advocating for natural light, traditional designs, local materials, courtyards. Like that example from KwaZulu-Natal.
With the trees and the courtyards, yeah. It sounds like a space designed to actually nurture you.
It's like the building itself becomes part of the teaching. And there were even tools, like the EFEI mentioned in one source.
What's that?
It's basically a rating system for school designs. It checks if the physical layout supports different kinds of learning activities based on, good practice principles.
Interesting. So even these static things, the walls and windows, they're really interacting with the learning process.
Deeply. Which leads us nicely into those less visible factors. The social and emotional feel of the place.
Yeah.
The climate.
Right. Going back to Moo's model again, he didn't just focus on the physical.
No, he identified these key social environmental variables too. He grouped them into 3 areas.
Which were?
Relationships. So that's about connection, involvement, friendships, teacher support. Then personal growth, task-focused competition, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And finally, system maintenance and change, which covers order, rules, teacher control, but also, importantly, innovation. How open is the place to new ideas?
And researchers can actually measure this climate. It seems so intangible.
They can, yeah.
Yeah.
They use specific tools, questionnaires, mostly. Things like the My Class Inventory or the questionnaire on teacher interaction, and one called What is Happening in This Class, or WIHIC. They gather data on how students and sometimes teachers perceive these aspects.
And what do these studies generally find?
Well, the findings are pretty consistent. That Singapore study, for example, it showed a clear link
What do you mean?
between students having positive perceptions of their classroom, liking their teachers, feeling cohesion, not much friction, and actually getting better results, both cognitively and effectively, feeling good and doing well.
So friendly, helpful teachers weren't just liked more, they were actually more effective.
That's what they found, yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense, right? If you feel good, you engage more.
Totally.
And that Allen and Fraser study in Florida was interesting, too. They compared how parents and students saw the same science classrooms.
Using that WIHIC tool you mentioned.
A modified version, yes. And get this, parents and students often had significantly different views and preferences about the classroom environment.
Really? That's fascinating. Why do you think that is?
Well, they're experiencing it differently, right? It really shows why getting feedback from students is so valuable.
Yeah.
Things like feeling afraid to ask questions or worried about being embarrassed. A teacher might not realize that's happening unless students tell them. Parents might not see it either.
So it's about creating that safe space, not just delivering the content.
Exactly. And this ties into a really powerful idea from one source, quoting some French researchers.
What was that?
They found that schools where students do well academically, they're often also schools where students are happy, they enjoy being there, get along with teachers, feel supported.
Ah, so it's not an either?
No. They called feeling good and doing well a powerful combination.
Feeling good and doing well. I like that. It feels like the real goal.
And this goes beyond just the classroom, too. The sources talk about creating inclusive environments, respecting students' cultural identities, like that New Zealand project for Maori students.
Cultivating communities that care, as one source put it.
Precisely. It's about the whole experience, not just the lesson plan.
So the idea of a learning environment really stretches beyond the school building itself.
Absolutely. You can push it even further.
How so?
Well, there's the concept of the ikanish.
Kakanish.
Yeah, the idea that our brains and bodies, our embodied brain and an embedded body,
Yeah.
they thrive based on physical and social conditions around us. Things like getting enough rest, having time for creative play, good air quality, light, sound.
So our basic biology is linked to the environment.
Deeply. And we thought a great example of exploring alternative learning environments in that Gardens for Life project.
Right. That was in England, Kenya, and India. In school gardens, not classrooms.
Exactly. They used a really cool method called concept mapping.
Which involves drawings.
Yeah, children's drawings representing their ideas, plus interviews and observation. It's very child-centered. It shows you what a child knows visually.
And what did they find? Were the gardens seen the same way everywhere?
Interestingly, no, there were cultural differences. In Kenya and India, kids saw the garden more as a place for learning, community, feeling secure, peace.
Okay.
Whereas in England, it was viewed more as a space for leisure, for play.
Different perspectives.
But, and this is a key across all the locations, there was this strong, positive, feel-good factor.
Feeling good again.
Yeah, the kids felt emotionally better being in that natural environment. And the researchers saw huge potential there for fostering deeper ecological understanding, maybe even global awareness.
Okay, so we've gone from buildings to climate to gardens. Let's bring it inward now. What about the individual learner? Our own approach, our study habits. How do we interact with these environments?
Right. That survey study on undergraduate pharmacy students was really insightful here.
This is where it got really interesting for me. One of the most striking findings, get this, students said their study methods were not mostly taught by teachers.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, where do people learn how to study effectively then, if not formally?
Exactly. And maybe linked to that, the study found loads of students, even later year ones.
You'd think they'd know better by then.
Right. They reported using strategies that aren't great, like just rereading notes, recopying them, and the big one, cramming.
Cramming, the old classic.
So the very things students often rely on, might actually be holding them back. That seems like a huge disconnect.
It really is. And this lines up perfectly with that Science News Explorers article on studying smarter.
How so?
Well, tip #3 is literally, don't just reread books and notes.
Yeah.
It explains that rereading feels like learning,
Yeah, it feels familiar.
but it doesn't build strong memories. That researcher, Faria Sana, she talked about highlighting everything and then realizing she hadn't actually learned it. It tricks you.
Okay, so rereading is out. What's in? What's the #1 tip?
The exact opposite of cramming. Space out your studying. #.
Space it out. Why does that work better?
The article used a leaky bucket analogy I like. Cramming is like overfilling the bucket, stuff just spills out.
Okay.
But spacing it out, some stuff might leak out between sessions, sure. But when you revisit it, it's easier to relearn, and it sticks much, much better. That flashcard experiment they mentioned showed this clearly.
Makes sense. Less overflow, more absorption over time. What else does the science say?
Practice, practice, practice. #2. Don't just read passively. Test yourself.
Like with flashcards or practice questions.
Exactly. Or just trying to explain it out loud. Actively retrieving the information makes the memory stronger.
Okay, so spacing and practice. What else?
Mix it up. #4. Interleaving.
Interleaving.
Yeah, instead of studying, say, all of Chapter 1, then all of Chapter 2, mix up problems or topics from different areas. It forces your brain to work harder to switch gears, and that effort actually strengthens the learning.
Interesting. Harder in the moment, better long term.
Pretty much. Also, use pictures. #6. Our brains are really good with visuals. Look at diagrams, charts, or even make your own little sketches,
Even silly ones.
apparently. The article mentioned goofy pictures can help create associations. It helps build mental models. That car brakes lecture study showed diagrams helped recall.
Okay, pictures. What else?
Find examples.
Okay, checks out.
Abstract ideas are way easier with concrete examples. And try to find at least 2 different examples to really grasp it well enough to apply it later.
2 examples minimum. Got it.
And finally, dig deeper. #8. Elaboration. Ask yourself why and how. Connect new stuff to what you already know.
Like explaining it to someone else.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
If you can explain it clearly, you probably understand it deeply. And good understanding leads to good memory. It all connects.
So these strategies sound great, but knowing them is one thing, putting them into practice is another. Learners still struggle, right?
Oh, absolutely. Prioritizing is a big one. That Fergus study showed how upcoming deadlines push students towards cramming, even if they know spacing is better.
And procrastination, the eternal enemy.
Yep. The Lehigh source had some good practical tips, though, like minimize distractions, phone away, maybe use blocker apps like Forest or Freedom. Make starting easier. Just commit to 10 minutes, or just get your books and notes ready. Little steps.
And setting daily goals, like
Yeah.
just 1 to 3 things.
Exactly. Manageable chunks. And for perfectionists, permission to write a messy first draft. Just get something down.
What about test anxiety? That can derail everything.
Yeah, the sources mentioned simple things you can do during the test, like choosing a seat away from distractions, using earplugs if allowed, and consciously focusing just on the test paper itself, not the clock or other students.
It seems like knowing the strategies isn't the whole battle then.
Not at all. Tip #9 in the Science News Explorers article hits this. Make a plan and stick to it.
The execution part.
Right. You have to make studying smart a real priority, build the habits.
And what if you try all this stuff and you're still really struggling with focus or time management?
Well, the article makes a good point. If it's a persistent, significant struggle, it might be worth checking in with a doctor. Sometimes there could be an underlying reason that needs professional support.
That's important to mention. Okay, wow. We've covered a lot of ground here.
We really have, from the physical buildings
To the social and emotional climate,
out into gardens.
and then right into our own heads, our study habits.
And the big takeaway seems to be that effective learning isn't just one thing. It's this dynamic interplay, right, between your environment and how you deliberately engage with it.
And that phrase again, feeling good and doing well, it really seems to capture that connection. It's not just fluffy, it's how our brains work best.
Exactly.
So this leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to consider. Based on everything we've dug into today, the surprising impact of physical space, the power of feeling supported and connected, the actual science of study strategies versus what we think works.
Like rereading and cramming.
Right, those common pitfalls. And the tips for things like procrastination, maybe the biggest insight is just how much potential you can unlock with simple, conscious choices.
Choices about where you learn, how you feel in that space, and, crucially, the specific techniques you choose to use.
So the question for you is, what's one small change you could make to your learning environment, maybe? Or to your study habits? Something based on what we've talked about today that could help you not just study harder, but study smarter, feel better, and ultimately do well.